All right. Hello, everybody, and thank you for coming this week to Tipple's virtual wine tasting with Elizabeth and Jeff Beaudre, the owners of Tipple's Brews and Wines in Gainesville, Florida. What are we drinking this week, Elizabeth?
Cocodrilo, not croc, Cocodrilo.
Cocodrilo, yep. The Cocodrilo Red Blend by Cobos, Mendoza, Argentina.
Do they say it like that?
No. I was just
because I don't think Latin Americans do the like the Spaniards.
I actually was having wine with a winemaker from Rioja earlier today.
So you were hearing.
I had a little bit of the fellas left over.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. No. So, Spain Spanish is different from Latin American Spanish.
Such is my day.
See, you didn't know you were getting a language lesson.
That's such is my day. Oh, I'm sorry. I had this leftover thing from drinking with a winemaker today. Sorry. Not sorry. All right. So I'm going to finish popping open this bottle. This is how hectic our day has been. We are just now popping ours open, but if you have already poured yourself a glass, I don't blame you.
So,
and I should not have popped the bottle like that.
Why?
Oh, it's just considered to
make the noise.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just considered like you should try not to. They say it bruises the wine. Now, I have not done extensive research into bruising the wine by pulling the cork hard. I think more it's just considered to be uncouth.
Okay.
And at the same time, I don't care. All right,
so are you and I going to experience a lot of evolution then, since we're just opening ours now?
Yes.
Okay.
But this is a wine made, which we'll say this in a minute anyway, made to be enjoyed early in life, in addition to having the ability to age.
Early in life? We can't drink it anymore then.
Fair enough on that.
Okay.
What's up, Paul?
Paul or Linda has a question.
What? No, you said it. I don't know that we've ever discussed it before, but bruising the wine, what would bruising the wine look like other than popping the cork, which I'm with you. I don't know why that would mess with the wine anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand. Honestly, I really think it was something that was maybe what's the word, making it bigger than it really is, exaggerated. Yeah, I think it's, to me, I mean, I could do more. I could be proven wrong.
Do you think it's to make it there's more ceremony with it here?
Yes.
This is how it makes it more special. If you have to open it a certain way.
Because you are supposed to, when you open it, you're supposed to finish with a light twist and do it gently and not pull it off like that. And I think it's more about what they've decided is the polite, way to pop it open than any bruising that might occur to the wine. Just makes no sense.
I don't know, if you're opening it in a nice restaurant, you don't want to hear that.
I kind of like the sound, but
okay. All right.
But clearly in the wine world, you're not supposed to do it.
What would bruising taste like?
I have no idea.
Oh, okay.
No, honestly, I'm not even sure.
It's just marketing.
I honestly think it's about they want to baby the wine. This is a very delicate, wonderful substance that we're about to enjoy. Treat it nicely. I think it's rather than just roughhousing with it and popping that bottle and being.
It's not beer. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean.
So, all right. So I have thrown I did get to chill it. So it is brought down, and we did get to bring it down into about 60 degrees. So roughly cellar temperature to begin. Will it evolve from there? Will you pull up the first slide?
Yep.
And I, accidentally brought up a good wine term.
Wait, hold on. You did not set it up. Okay, wait 1 moment, everyone. Okay, you are going to see behind the curtain, like you've seen in the past, just a little bit, but at least I have the right screen. Hold on.
Yeah, no, you basically had it. So.
Well, it just has to be shared. Oh, this is in the way. Okay.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So the Cobos Cocodrilo Red Blend. Ratings: James Suckling 93, Wine Spectator 90. There's actually a wine enthusiast. Anyway, That was,
You didn't put it on there?
no, the James Suckling is 90, Wine Spectator is 92, and Wine Enthusiast is 93.
Okay,
I don't know how that all happened, so
okay.
my apologies. Great ratings, bottom line. And I remembered all of them. Memory intact, don't know why. It's not normally my strong suit.
Well, with wine and beer.
There we go. Food pairings, beef tenderloin with blue cheese topping, so you can go really big and rich.
Mhm.
Braised lamb with fennel and orange. Turmeric roasted mushroom and beets.
That's the one you made up, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it sounds
That is-
delicious.
Right? Yeah.
Mhm.
Honestly, it was a combination of two different legitimate recipes, and I thought those would go well together. And I think they would. Stand by it. I'm going to take a moment to smell the aromas and to sip the wine myself. Oh, yeah.
So what should we be noticing?
All right, let's stop sharing.
Okay.
Varietal content. So this is a red blend,
Mhm.
Argentinian, but it is 88% Cab
Okay.
Sauv, right?
Mhm.
So it's 88% Cabernet Sauvignon. As in California, this would be a Cabernet Sauvignon.
Okay, right,
Because they only require 75.
right. What else is it blended with?
6% Malbec. So
Okay.
it's Argentina. You've got to
Yeah.
get Malbec in there, right? 2% Cabernet Franc, 2% Syrah, 2% Merlot. So subtle changes other than, alcohol content 14.7%. So let's see. No shrinking violet.
No.
Age worthiness, right?
Mhm.
Made to consume young, but like I said, but good for up to 10 years easily, right? You can, so you've got tannin,
Mhm.
you've got enough alcohol.
Right,
You actually have a freshness on the fruit, right?
Yes.
So it doesn't taste like dried fruits.
right.
So you're dealing with very dark fruits,
Mhm.
but they do still taste fresh. There's a tartness to this. The tartness of the acid and the tannin together is what would work well with that savory dishes.
So, and then Paul has a question in a moment. But Paul, I'm in charge, so I get to ask my question first, sorry. So right now, to me, this is pretty acidic and tart tasting. So ours was just opened,
Right.
so that will mellow out.
It'll mellow some.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And there's enough going on with this wine. I
Mhm.
mean, this will mellow over an hour's period. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, it's not a 5-minute change. This is a quality wine.
Okay,
Yeah. So
and then Paul has a question, or Linda does.
It was me. So you mentioned that in California, it only has to be 75% Cab Sav. So I was just curious if what the labeling, I guess, laws, or I don't know if regulations would be. I know what they are for food, as a dietitian. So does that mean that if they labeled this as a Cab Sav, if it were in California, would they still have to declare the percentages of the different grape varietals on their label? Or could they just say this is a Cab Sav without having to say the exact breakdown of the percentages?
it's a great question. And it is the latter of what you said. They do not have to tell you. They can just label it Cabernet Sauvignon. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's something I do not like in the industry.
Well, it's very different from what she was saying, like with food labels, they
Right.
would have to tell you what's in it,
Right.
but with the wine
The
label.
wine, because they don't go through the FDA, they go separately through the alcohol, tobacco, firearm.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
So, but honestly, I wish they would move it over to the FDA
Mhm.
and require that labeling,
Yeah,
because that would require people that put additives into their wines to declare them.
right. Plus, a lot of people have reactions to additives, so it'd be very nice to know
Yeah.
if there were additives. in it.
Oh,
And Linda,
it
if
would be
it was
delightful.
you, I would have let you go first. I thought it was Paul, so.
Well, no,
That's fine, Elizabeth. It's all
and I like how you admitted that you were in charge. So
Oh, yeah,
Checking on everything.
That's
You know,
true.
there's a difference when I'm not here,
that's
so.
right. She's the producer, I'm the talking head.
Yes,
That's right.
exactly. Yep.
That's right. All right. So we talked about ageability. Barrel. All right. This guy sees 14 months of oak,
Mm,
but 14% is new, 86% is second use.
okay.
So it's all French oak. So what we're dealing with, it's not covered in vanilla and toffee, which if it was, say, a young American oak, that's what you would get out of it. Lots of coconut, right?
Mhm.
Not getting that in this.
Mhm.
It's more spice and mellowing out the
Yeah.
tannin and leaving the acidity in place. So second use is still new-ish, right?
Mhm.
Because if you were to go with fully neutral oak, it might be fourth use, that kind of a thing. So it does drop significantly per use, but it's all fairly, it is somewhat aggressively oaked, but with an oak that's not particularly aggressive.
Okay.
It's kind of a fun.
Yeah, it's aggressively oaked because it's oaked for so long. Okay.
Yeah, and
But it's with a French oak and with a second use.
right, and it's fairly volatile oak for its age, right? So you're talking about 14% new
Mhm.
volatile oak that's
Right.
going to really interact with the wine.
Mhm.
86% second use. Second use is still pretty active,
Okay.
right? So
Okay.
there's a lot of that, but you're dealing with a less active oak to begin with because it's French.
Okay,
Mhm.
should I share?
Mhm.
Okay,
Mm.
so we'll look at the label now.
Well, actually,
Nope, don't
No.
share yet.
I'm wrong.
Okay,
Let's talk about the scents and the flavors.
okay.
Very nice. All right, so what are we getting on this guy here? Lots of nice dark fruit, right?
Mhm.
Black cherry, black currant, right? Which I always love that, you know, the wine world has a way to have a fancy name for grapes when a grape beverage smells like grapes. I don't want to, it doesn't smell like grapes, it's black currant. Those are grapes. So anyway. But there's more to it than that. There's a floral component, there's an herbal component. Probably some of that Cabernet Franc coming out in the Malbec. Malbec will bring kind of violets, right? Cab Franc would bring kind of some greener herbs.
Yeah, I'm getting more herbs
Mm-hmm.
than violets.
Well, and you look at, we're talking about 2% Cab Franc, but Cab Franc makes a stamp, right, on
Mhm.
anything it's in. And that's the reason it's there, to uplift the aromatics.
Okay,
That's almost certainly why they chose it.
okay.
On the palate. So once again, black cherry, some black currant,
Mhm.
but on the finish, there's a nice tart, almost raspberry.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah, for sure.
There's some nice herbs, and there's, on the earthy side, I would go with graphite.
Oh, sure.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that is quintessential to Cabernet Sauvignon, right?
Mhm.
And Syrah, right? We have 2% Syrah in here. So you could have a little of that jumping up, you know, giving its, you know,
Mhm.
making its statement. Mhm.
And Rachel says she's getting plum, and the
I like
nose
plum.
reminds her of Malbec.
Okay,
Mhm.
yeah, I like that. Yeah, because of that violets, that was the thing. I was like, because the violets popping out, it kind of reminds me of Malbec, because it's not like Cab and Malbec and, you know, it's not that they have nothing in common. They do, they have
Mhm.
crossover. Plum also being one of them. Plus you have some Merlot in here, which is famous for its red plum quality.
Okay, yeah.
But honestly, you can get red plum in Cabernet Sauvignon as well. So some red fruits, some black fruits,
Mhm.
some nice earthiness, you know, with that minerality coming
Yeah.
through, some herbiness. It's got a lot going on, and this will open up and we'll get more of it. I think as we drink, and we haven't talked much about it yet, I'm beginning to get some, we'll get more cacao. So a little more baker's chocolate kind of thing coming out. And you guys that are ahead of us may be already getting that. I can see on the nose already.
Just a touch.
Just a touch. I could go cacao. Altogether, delicious wine, in my opinion. Very tasty. I'm happy. Let's talk about it.
This one's so dark. I'm so concerned with my teeth. Keep trying to
Your teeth look beautiful.
keep it behind my teeth
You're
as I swish
You know
it
what?
around and taste it.
stained teeth, happy hearts. I made that up right now, but we're going to
Okay.
make that for wine drinkers.
Okay, all right.
That's right.
Ready?
All right. Yes, please. All right, so let's talk about this label a little bit. So we've got the 2019 Cocodrilo. That obviously tells us nothing other than it's a name. Corte,
Does
Mendoza.
Corte mean red blend? Because it says red blend on the
Oh,
stock photo.
I don't know why they have Corte on there.
Okay,
All
right.
Honestly, I didn't see it pop up. I was doing a bunch of research on this thing. I didn't see it pop up. It is a red blend. From Mendoza, Venus, Cobos. So you've got who makes it, where it's from. Front maybe a little bit of a mystery, other than it's from Argentina and Mendoza specifically. Get on the back, but you get on the back, you have wonderful information. This is exactly what this red blend is. So if you're looking for some Cabernet Sauvignon, I mean, you found some, right? Red wine, Mendoza, product from Argentina. So produced and bottled by Viña Cobos, right?
Okay.
So these guys are making it
Mhm.
100%. They're producing it and they're bottling it. They are in control of this. Imported by Paul Hobbs. This is one of those names.
Oh, you said this is
Right.
one of the ones that we need to like write down and remember.
Right.
See Paul Hobbs.
Right. You see Paul Hobbs. And so let's say you know nothing else and you say, oh, this is Argentinian, but I see Paul Hobbs.
Okay.
And this should be Paul Hobbs Selections. Yeah, it is, which is his import company.
Okay.
That is one of the, and people could disagree with me, but I think I'd win. But you've got,
In your opinion, you're right.
in my opinion, I'm right. I mean, Paul Hobbs is one of the names that you can trust. You see Paul Hobbs, if you know nothing else,
Okay.
if it's hitting the marks where you want to be, it's like, hey, I wanted a Cabernet Sauvignon. It says Paul Hobbs on it. This is the price point I want to pay. You're going to be safe.
Okay.
He makes amazing wines and it chooses amazing wines.
Okay.
So whether he's in charge of it directly or not.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Because he's an importer, right? You said
He
that.
actually is a winemaker
He's
who
a wine-
also has an import business.
Okay,
And-
you confused me for a moment.
no, it is confusing because in this case,
Mhm.
this is his winery from
Okay.
Argentina, but
Okay.
he also imports it directly. So, but he also works, and we'll talk about the different areas he works around the world. But
Okay.
Paul Hobbs is one of those names. Kermit Lynch for
Mhm.
importing, Paul Hobbs for importing as well. If you're going international, it's a way to kind of have a little like, oh, if you can remember that name, it will give you and should give you a comfort level. So, all right.
Ready?
Yep. So I'd say in the end, seeing that it's produced there,
Mhm.
it gives me the information about what to expect on the varietals. I'm feeling pretty good about this wine.
I'm going to remember his name because it's very close to one of my favorite murder investigators.
Oh,
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah. His name is Paul Holes.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Well, whatever works. Everyone loves murder shows.
Yep.
All right. So what is in here? So we have a collection of Bordeaux grapes, right? Yes and no. All right. So
Okay.
Bordeaux grapes. So Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, Petit Verdot, Malbec, Cab Franc. Well, we have all of them except for Petit Verdot
Okay.
in this case. They are all from Southwest France, black skinned with white flesh.
Mhm.
Cabernet Franc is the parent of Cabernet Sauvignon and Merlot. So you have those three all related. The other one, what's the outlier, right? So we have Petit Verdot out.
Mhm.
We have Syrah in. Well,
Okay.
what's kind of fun about Syrah with Bordeaux is that in the 17 and 1800s, Bordeaux used to include Syrah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
They just decided to stop.
they never grew it there.
Oh.
It doesn't grow. It's too cool in Bordeaux to grow good
Okay.
Syrah.
Mhm.
But they would bring it over from the Rhone. So,
Mhm.
so Bordeaux's in southwestern
Mhm.
France, which we'll look at a map in a moment.
Mhm.
Syrah's from southeastern France. They would bring it over to create intensity of color and add some robustness to the wine, some tannin. Right. So Syrah is I love Syrah. It's a great grape. But when they decided to really lock down what is Bordeaux and what are we going to stand for
Mhm.
our flavor profile, they said, well, you can't bring things in from other parts of France. It has to be only what can be grown here.
Sure.
If you cannot grow Syrah here, it's out. And that's why it was taken away.
Don't worry, they'll be able to grow it. So.
Yeah, right. It's on its way. So,
Actually that, you may not know the answer to this. As we warm and
Mhm.
it would be possible to grow, do you think that I'm asking an opinion because I'm sure they haven't announced.
Mhm.
With climate change, we were deciding we're going to grow Syrah, but do you think that they will and add it back in since historically it was part of?
I would say that is a possibility.
Okay.
Well, they've included a bunch. I don't know if Syrah was in it. They included something like, they put a plan together.
Mhm.
I read the article quickly. It's been a hot minute. I do know Tempranillo was approved for Bordeaux usage.
Really?
Yeah, there were 15 if I remember correctly, new varietals
So maybe Syrah.
approved. So Syrah might already be in there.
Okay,
Mhm.
all right.
But but they don't grow together in France, right?
Right.
But they do grow together in Argentina, in
Okay,
Mendoza,
okay.
because you have this combination of warmer valleys,
Mhm.
mountains up in there, wonderful dryness. You can grow, and that's one of the reasons I love Mendoza. You can grow everything there. You can pretty much grow everything there. It is an amazing location for wine grape growing.
So that will be on the list when we go to South America.
Absolutely, and it's gorgeous, which we'll look at it soon.
Okay.
Next one, please. All right, so Bordeaux. So we're dealing with the Bordeaux blend,
Mhm.
all right? Black currant, black cherry, graphite,
Mhm.
chocolate, dried herbs.
We mentioned all of those.
Literally across the board,
Mhm.
right? So this is actually the style that they were going for. They're very much inspired by Bordeaux. And I think that they nailed their goal of approximating a beautiful Bordeaux.
Mhm.
Hmm.
I'm really liking the evolution as it's opening up more.
Mhm. Yeah, that's really nice.
Mhm.
The acid's getting a little more in balance now.
Yeah, it
Mhm.
was a little too high for me to start with.
Mhm. Very nice.
But
Yeah,
I'm
it's
really
coming around, and
liking that.
really the tannins are becoming a little more aggressive with it too.
Yeah, no,
Even
the
more.
taste is progressive and I feel like I'm getting more complexity of taste because I feel like the acid was overwhelming it at first for me.
Mm.
So.
Well, the big thing with Bordeaux, right? So this is, I'll go through, Bordeaux is a balanced wine, no matter what they do, right? So when you're going to get fruit, earthy options, herbal options, tannin, acidity should all come together complexly,
Mhm.
but balanced.
Okay.
That is the style. If you were to say there is one, because there's all kinds of different things, but if you were to say there's kind of a unifying theme to Bordeaux,
Mhm.
and that's where I would go with it. That's how I
Okay.
would describe it. Incredible balance and complexity. I'm getting both on this guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Next one, please.
Okay.
So here's our outlier, right? Syrah, blueberry, black plum. We talked about plum,
Yeah.
right?
Rachel
So a
mentioned
little
plum.
plumminess,
Mhm.
right?
So it's coming from that Syrah.
Mhm. Milk chocolate, chocolate's still there.
Mhm.
Tobacco falls into the herbiness realm,
Sure.
and peppers, which I'm not getting on this, but we're only talking about 2%. So
I was gonna say blueberry earlier, but
mm.
then you didn't say it, so I was like.
No,
okay.
blueberries the
Clearly.
perfectly thing. When I say black fruit, blueberry is one of the big guys. That goes blackberry, blueberry.
Okay.
So red fruit, it's gonna be plums, raspberries, strawberries, but you're not getting them here. That would be more Pinot Noir.
Okay.
All right, so I talked to you about the map of France. So we have all of the grapes from southwestern France, except for Syrah, southeastern France. And so that's the sometimes I almost wrote Eastern. And I was like, no, really, there's so much wine that grows north of there. This is definitely southeastern
Yeah.
France.
Definitely southeastern.
So grape anatomy. Well, we're dealing with all white
White
fleshed, very intense, intense thick-skinned grapes, not all thick.
Okay.
Malbec, Malbec and Merlot, a little thinner. Cab Franc, particularly a
Mhm.
little thinner. But you've got Cabernet Sauvignon and Syrah, which are much thicker. So you're grabbing a little of this, a little of that to create the flavors that he wants. And that is also how it's done in Bordeaux. That their percentages will change year to year.
Oh, right.
They might even change. They might even add a bit of Petit Verdot in
Mhm.
one year and not have it another year. If they had a
Okay.
warmer year and they got all of the extraction they needed from the Cab and Merlot. So maybe, in the Cab Franc.
Right.
So Petit Verdot can be one of those. And we talked about this when we drank a Petit
Mhm.
Verdot, is that it adds color, it adds intensity, a little, body,
Right.
but it's not always needed in Bordeaux. But when it is, that's why it's there.
No, it's interesting because you put all this work into like coming up with, okay, this is the taste profile we want to get for 1 year.
Mhm.
And you've got whatever percentages it is. And then the next year you try the same percentages and you're like, okay, this doesn't taste right. It
Right.
doesn't, or it doesn't taste like what I'm going for at all. So then you have to figure it all out again.
Right.
I mean, I guess you better like that since you're gonna be doing it every, you know, like you, not you,
Right.
but if you're a winemaker, you better really like that. Okay, you figured it all out the year before, but now here's a new problem to solve the next year.
Oh, right. And
Mhm.
and it really is putting their stamp on it, right?
Yeah.
So there are winemakers that run the gambit, and we talked about this, I think, last week.
Mhm.
The goal of winemakers, and is it different? And the bottom line is it's different per winemaker. So there will be winemakers that will say, all right, I'm making, let's just go with a name, right? Let's go with, grab a grape. I make Cabernet Sauvignon, and I make 100% Cabernet Sauvignon.
Okay.
And I will give you the expression of my vineyard
Mhm.
every year to the best of my ability. So I will vint it maybe the exact same way. I always use these steps.
Mhm.
So the differences you will taste year to year will be based on the weather from that year, right?
So we, in that case, we don't care if the tastes are changing. We really want you to experience what was going on that year.
Exactly.
Okay.
Right. So then you'll also have some winemakers that will say, nope, I want it to taste this way every year. And I create that by having this XYZ PDQ, right? And
Mhm.
they change the percentages depending on what happened that year to try and get the same flavor they got the year before.
Okay.
And say, this is my flavor. This
Right.
is what I am expressing, combination of location and my manipulation.
Mhm.
You know, manipulating in this case, not throwing in necessarily
Right.
fake things, but I'm manipulating the blend and that kind of, so they're making a stronger statement about the winemaker in that case.
Rather than what was going on with the
Right.
grapes themselves as they were growing.
Right. And
Mhm.
then there's a third option.
Okay.
All right. Third option is I'm just going to make the best blend I can get every year from what I have available.
Okay.
Right. So then they're saying, okay, in that case, I don't care if it tastes just like what I did last year. I'm tasting these, and this, my Merlot was incredible this year. I'm going to feature that. I'm going
Okay.
to bring it up. So it can be all over the place. There
Okay.
is no right answer in
Okay.
this way of winemaking. No one's wrong. It's a personal style choice by the
Yeah.
winemaker.
It's another, like, it's one of the things that we talk about with, yes, there is science involved in winemaking. It's also art.
It is very
Mhm.
much. Mhm. So next one, please. All right. So where are we? So we are down in the southern growing latitude this time, right in the middle of Argentina and Chile. So South American wine growing map. We have obviously Argentina and Chile, by far the most famous.
Mhm.
Our group and me have a particular weakness for Uruguay, right? So gotta love those guys. Have not had a Brazilian wine yet, so I'm gonna assume there are not many of them, and they're not making it up to, you know.
Okay.
Florida.
Yeah. Because I noticed there's not much of Brazil in that
Mhm.
latitude, but some.
There's something. I mean, hey, I would give it a shot.
Yeah.
I love tasting new things.
Mhm.
So here we are within Argentina. We're in Mendoza, which is the most famous area of Argentina for wine growing. We'll get in here. Here's Mendoza, a little closer. Right up against the Andes. Our wine this week comes from a combination of Luján de Cuyo, all right, and Uco, the Uco Valley, right?
Okay.
Why? Actually, there's a really cool reason for this, right? Yes, he could have just grabbed a little from here and a little
Mhm.
from there. That isn't why.
Okay.
This is, all right, so this is a blending of the two sides.
Mhm.
What we're having tonight is a blending of both sides.
Okay.
But they make Malbecs, particularly when Paul Hobbs came here, and Paul Hobbs' vision was, I want to do with Malbec, I want to
Mhm.
experiment with it the way they do in Bordeaux with Cabernet Sauvignon and Merlot,
Mhm.
where you've got left bank and right bank along the river,
Okay.
right? So here along the Mendoza River, you've got left bank and right bank basically, and he's playing with those. And so we found these other vineyards, and he decided to make this Bordeaux blend from the area, but that's what kind of brought him and inspired him to even begin working in this region.
Right. No, that's cool. You know what it made me think of is the left Twix and the right Twix. And you wonder if the marketers that came up with that were wine drinkers. And they're like, hey, I heard this great story. We have 2 Twix bars in a package. Let's make it, that it's left and right.
I never thought of that.
Yeah, no, I never thought, because I know you've mentioned it before, but yeah, that's interesting. It makes you wonder if they were wine drinkers.
I like to think that they were now. Okay. So at the foot of the Andes Mountains, 1,000 to 3,000 feet above sea level. Technically, it's all a desert,
All right.
right? Extremely low annual rainfall. Plenty of water from the runoff from the mountains, though. So these rivers are plentiful. There's plenty of water, which they can irrigate with. They do irrigate in Mendoza. They have to.
Yeah.
It's a desert.
Yeah.
Nothing would grow
Yeah.
otherwise. So you got to have some. Extremely low rain means that you can leave the grapes on the vines over the entire growing season and you let them gain a lot of character. The soil, which actually we'll go into, well, we'll take a look. So a lot of these areas are essentially organic already and sustainable. Sustainable is a choice, more of a choice of like water usage, power usage, and working with the people. But the organic side of it is super easy here because there's almost no humidity and so little rainfall. There's almost no pests or infection. Like there's no bugs, there's no mildew. It's very easy to say, oh, I went organic. Why? I didn't need it.
Right.
Right. So they have a leg up, a huge leg up on there, but look at that,
Yeah.
no wonder I want to go here.
Oh,
Right?
absolutely.
So there's the snows that runoff helps them all summer. So here's the soil. It is alluvial deposition, clay, rocks, and pebbles. Alluvial, that is river deposited.
Okay.
Right. So over all the time, running down out of the mountains. So they've got a combination of, clay, sand, rocks, and pebbles, low in organic matter. That's important. You don't want to feed those grapes too much. They'll get flabby. You got to leave them thinking they're going to die and they'll make your best grapes, but high in minerality. So you get this character, right? So, and we talked about, even with the huge huge fruit flavors we're getting in these, we were able to pick out very quickly that graphite, that mineral component, the soil coming through.
Yeah, I'm looking to see how long ours has been. It's not showing me what time it is. So ours has been open 35 minutes now. Yeah. This is nice.
Right.
Mhm.
Oh, the Cocodrilo, so good.
Yeah, my thing would be like if I were to have it again, which I'm sure we will, but I want it open at least 20 minutes before I start
Fair enough.
drinking it. Yeah.
Fair enough. I get it. Yeah, it comes out a little wound up.
It comes out a little wound up.
It
yeah.
does.
But if
it's called
aging, that makes sense.
that makes total sense,
Yeah.
right? So that is how about another wine term, right? Tight, right? The
Right.
wine starts tight. And that's what they mean, where it just feels, you can tell there's going to be more, right? It
Yeah.
needs to relax. The oxygen needs time to work with it, get that acid to tame down, balance out, get the tannins to plump up. And it starts out just tight. Tight is like tart. It's kind of a good way to remember it is like, if it feels tartar than it should be,
Right.
it's probably tight.
Yeah.
And if it never opens up, then it probably isn't a particularly great wine that you're going to enjoy, right?
Or
But
maybe it needs to be aged super long.
there is that very, very good point. Like a Barolo, right?
Sure.
Northern Italy. So, all right. Next one, please. All right. So here's an example of the irrigation they put in there. This is one version. I tried to get a picture of the drip irrigation lines for this one that they use with Paul Hobbs, and the picture turned out horribly.
Oh.
It was a video and you could see it really well
Uh-huh.
when things were moving. When I stopped it, it just looked terrible. It just looked stupid. You couldn't see what it was.
Okay.
But so what they have is picture along here, these posts, right? So you can see the grapes kind of in between the grape vines themselves. So this is winter. If you had metal piping running midway through that,
Okay.
that's where they drip. They drip from, about midway up along the thing. So call it 1.5 feet off the ground. They
Okay.
just have
Drip lines.
drip lines that just drop water down.
Okay.
They're not all done this way.
And then this is like trenches that they've cut for
These-
the,
right.
for the snow runoff to come through then.
Yeah, and this would not happen during the growing season. This
Okay.
would only happen during, like you can see now, it's winter.
Okay,
During the season to just kind of nourish those grapevines and get them ready to struggle when they produce in the spring.
okay.
Right. Yes, please. All right, so Viña Cobos. It's ugly.
No, it's
So-
gorgeous. It's so modern looking.
Yeah.
It's so interesting when we see all of the ones in South America look so modern, which I mean, I guess
Well-
they are, but.
Some do, some don't, but like the Uruguayan, right?
Well,
So
that's what I'm saying.
Garzón does.
It's the one with the big lake there, right? And
Mhm.
it's all sustainable and.
Yeah, it looks like a Bond villain's lair.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
This one looks almost like a wine laboratory, which makes sense. We're going to talk about that. And then also Catena.
Mhm.
Look, and that was the one with the ziggurat. Right?
Oh,
But
yeah.
then it was also super modern looking,
Right,
right?
right.
So Catena, so Paul Hobbs began his career, he went to UC Davis for his enology training, which almost everyone does,
Okay.
incredible place. Worked with a little place called Opus in Simi in Napa Valley,
Wow.
gained renown, went out and began doing his own projects, super incredibly, highly respected, right? So came down as a consultant with Catena.
Okay.
All right, so we've had some of the Catena wines,
Yes, we have
amazing, amazing.
Catena tasting.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah, wonderful, wonderful Argentinian wine producer. So came down to work with them and fell in love with the area and really became excited about what you could do there.
Okay.
And then part of it was, one of the things about Catena is they have one of the most, if not the most incredible wine laboratory
Mhm.
in the world. People send wine and samples to them from all over the world for them to work with.
Oh, wow.
Because Laura Catena
Mhm.
is a doctor.
Oh, that's right.
Right?
Yes.
So she's a doctor. She's very meticulous, and her big thing, and which is what he does too. Paul does in his vineyards down here at Viña Cobos, is they're working with old techniques, hand training the vines, hand clipping, that kind of a thing, tending them, old school, but constantly gathering data and looking at it, and then deciding what needs to be done with each section and
Sure.
where they ahead of time. Okay, we're going to pick this one this time to grab those, get those barrels going, and then blend it like this. It's very high tech, but not in the field. It's the discernment of what they're getting and
Right.
what they're working with. So Paul Hobbs now runs 7 wineries on 5 different continents. Yeah, Argentina, France, Spain, Armenia, and the US. We had that Armenian wine, which I don't know if everyone here had it. I think everyone here did. So good.
Yeah.
He has one we'll bring that one in as well.
Okay.
It's fantastic. So I've had it, it's fantastic. Viña Cobos founded in 1999.
Okay.
And I'll tell you, the basis of his original interest for this project was kind of a right bank, left bank, working with Malbec,
Okay.
and to kind of, see what he could do with that. Talked about all those guys. Bordeaux influences, and obviously the Bordeaux influence is strong across the board with what he's working with.
Yeah, absolutely. We do have. Okay, so Jerry said, I saw gravity flow drip irrigation systems in German vineyards.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Yep, and that's what they're using here too, is a gravity flow drip irrigation system. Mhm. Fantastic. Thank you, Jerry. All right.
Do we have
excellent,
pictures of
please.
the inside?
Yeah, not the inside, more of the outside, so you can
Okay.
see how it looks like a laboratory.
Yeah.
Right. It's beautiful, but it looks very high tech.
It does.
And then here we go. And you can see, so we're talking about, these guys are about 1,000 to 1,300 feet above sea level, which is the lower area.
Okay.
But because we're dealing with a lot of valley floor for this wine,
Okay.
there's some others for their other Malbecs and such. And so, but look at it. I mean,
Yeah.
incredible. I want to go there.
It looks like the mountains were painted. Ready?
Yes. All right. So the team, here's Paul Hobbs in the middle. And then Jose and Carlos helping him run everything,
Okay.
CEO and then international sales. The next one, please. the winemaker, yeah, here's the winemaking team. So Diana, head
Mhm.
winemaker, and Nicholas, the second winemaker. Obviously Diana's going to be looking at largely, and I don't know for sure where they're going with this, but a lot of times the head winemaker is creating the overall style flavor profiles, right?
Okay.
And then the second winemaker usually has to make it happen.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
She's tasting the grapes and deciding what can happen.
Right.
And then
right.
his job is usually to make it happen.
Okay.
Can't say for sure that that's the case, but that is often the case when I read it. So. And then the vineyard team, obviously. So here we go. Head of third-party vineyards is Mariana. So they don't own every single vineyard they grab from.
Okay.
But they do control it all. So
Okay.
it's all controlled and
Right.
grown the way they want, right? So honestly, whether they own it or not, the control is the important thing. And then head of their own vineyards is Pablo. So that's our team. That's I think there are a lot. They have a really nice spread of wine options from casual to even higher than this. This guy I like as an example to kind of introduce to the vineyard and
Yeah.
say, wow, that's really tasty.
Yeah, it's very nice. Do we know the reason for the name?
I couldn't find it.
Okay.
No, I don't know because, all right, so I want it to mean alligator, right? But in most
crocodile.
South American Spanish usage, it's caiman. So
Right.
caiman and alligator,
Right.
el mismo, right? The same.
Mhm.
So cocodrilo is also alligator in some Spanish-speaking countries where they don't have either one of those,
Oh,
right?
okay.
Right, but they just have one word for all of these different animals, right? So I couldn't find it. Like maybe I missed it. That's fair enough. I miss things, but because I wanted it to say alligator because I wanted it to mean alligator, so
Right.
that here we are in Gainesville, Florida during football season.
Right.
I'd be like, here is your gator,
Right. Right.
your gator football wine. But I was not able to confirm that.
I mean, we could pretend that's what it is.
Why not?
Yep.
Right?
Should we do the next one?
I think it might be time to stop it. Let's take a glimpse real quick. I think
Okay,
we're done.
everyone close their eyes while we check.
Yeah, this is
Okay,
so
so
stop.
stop.
Yeah, go ahead. Stop share. All right. So now that I've run through the spiel, any thoughts or questions before I go into the ratings that are thrown out there already? And you guys can think about what the TTP is going to rate it, the Tipple's tasting panel.
By the way, is that the password? It's a crock.
Yes. Yes, it is.
I never know the password, but I know you pride yourself in your passwords most of the time. so-
Well, I have fun when I can, unless I get too busy, and then I'll put something like log in with this. I haven't done anything that lame
The
yet.
password is password.
That's right.
Mhm.
The password is wine makes me feel funny. All right. So thoughts now that you guys have listened to the whole spiel.
Food pairings, questions.
Paul Hobbs has some amazing wines from the US. We actually carry their Cahors, which is Malbec from France. So Malbec again. Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, he definitely works with the varietal. Does some great work with it.
Well, after it opens up, it's very, very smooth, easy to drink.
Mhm.
Just an easygoing wine after that, full bodied, very nice.
Yeah.
Mm.
I agree with Jerry. And with the after it opens up.
Yeah, I mean it's a big wine. There's a lot going on there, but it is very tasty. And it is, I do like wines that you can drink with or without food.
Mhm. Yeah.
I think it's practical for how we drink wine in the United States.
Oh, absolutely.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Well, because we don't have 6-hour meals. I mean, it'd
Right.
be great if we could do that, but
I know
we don't do that.
I'd be worried that I'd be asleep at the table.
you would definitely be asleep at the table.
All right, well, let's talk about this. So wine ratings.
Okay, I'm just making sure. Anybody want to tell us what you paired it with? Maybe you didn't pair it with anything.
Cuban roast pork, black beans and rice.
Ooh,
No.
yes,
All right.
yes.
Yeah.
That's what we had this past weekend. You had lechon
Yeah.
with black beans and rice, and I just had black beans and rice and yuca frita
Yes.
because I'm all about the carbs on the weekend.
That's right.
I mean, black beans gave me some protein, but also carbs.
That's right.
There's plenty of hot sauce, of course,
Wait, you put hot sauce into it? I don't do that.
after it's cooked at the table.
Okay. And then, oh, mushroom shepherd's pie.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, mushroom shepherd.
So
pie. That's great.
That savory mushroom, like you talked about with the turmeric mushroom. It's, I mean, it's a little different, but yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
No, that would totally work right.
Mhm.
That'd be fantastic. So excellent. I like it.
Okay.
All right, let's talk about the ratings. All right, so you guys have heard my spiel. This guy's listed up in the outstanding category of wine, right? 90 plus points. All the way up to a 93 at times. So really, really high praise.
Mhm.
But it doesn't mean you agree with it. The reality in the market is if you think a wine is very tasty and well made, they usually give it a 90, even though what you see written here would indicate otherwise, right? You
Right.
just don't see a lot of 85s that they're proud of, though they should technically be proud of a very good wine. It doesn't actually work that way.
Yeah.
So you might see some 88s.
Evidently, the entire wine industry has an issue with perfectionism and they maybe need to work on that a little bit.
Right, a little bit.
Yeah.
Because it should be a little more spread out.
Right.
The big thing also is that, you know, wine ratings are paid for.
Right.
So if you get a 75, you're going to hide it.
And you're probably not going to submit a wine that you would think that you feel is mediocre.
Right, they should be self-aware enough.
Right,
Yeah.
you're submitting wines that you think are going to be rated highly, and yes, you're paying for it, but you're not paying for a score. You're not like saying, hey,
Right.
here's some money,
No.
give me a 93. No, instead it's okay, we think this wine is good, so we're willing to invest the money to get it rated,
Right,
which skews the data.
right. No, you're right. That is probably the biggest thing that skews the data. It's not so much that it's not a rating system you can count on. It's that largely those wines submitted, the people that make it are aware this is an excellent wine. We should do well.
Right.
It's worth the investment.
Well, like if kids only had to turn things into their teachers that they were like, I think I did really well on this, it would skew the grades for sure. There would be no bell curve,
Mhm.
which you don't need that. But what I'm saying is they're not turning, they wouldn't turn in things that they were like, yeah, this sucked. Let me turn this in if they got to choose what they were
Right.
turning in. So,
Yeah, I think it would be wonderful if there was like some requirement, say, oh, you want to be, you'd have to do this country by country, but let's say in the US, right?
Mhm.
You want to sell this wine in the US, it has to be rated.
well,
Then
it's-
it would
it's-
redistribute it, right?
with the with labeling what's in it
Right.
specifically as
Move it to the FDA and require that, you change the industry, you'd freak a lot of people out.
people would be really angry.
Yeah. Wine, only winemakers, not the wine buyers.
No, that's true. The wine buyers are very happy.
Right.
Okay, so I'll stop and let's see what we have here.
Alright.
I'll go back. 90 from Linda and Paul.
All right.
Consuelo 91. 92 alone and 93 to 94 with food.
Mm.
Is this from all three of you? They're talking. I guess
I think it's
they
this time, John's traveling.
Laura, Brenda, Linda. That's
Oh.
three people.
Oh, there's
John
the
is
hands on
third
the left.
person.
Okay.
Yes. And then Jerry, 90 to 91, 92 from Cheryl. And then David, 45 minutes ago, 88, now 93, and
Right.
Rachel, 90. Yeah, I agree, David. 45 minutes ago, I was definitely in the 80s. I might have gone a little bit lower than that, maybe an 87. 87.5, but now I'm up to a 92.
Fantastic.
Mhm.
Well, and I like that. I like that a lot. That's it. I like the evolution in the glass. And I've talked about
Mhm.
this before. People say, oh, should I decant? Blah, blah, blah. Fine. You're like, decant, do it all you want. It's really up to personal preference.
Right,
I like to have it in the glass and experience the change,
right,
but not everyone does, which is fair enough. Like you don't want to just put it into a decanter, wait an hour, come back to something like this. And obviously you're going to be getting it better than when it first comes out tight.
right.
I just really kind of like the journey
Well-
of experiencing it tight as it then releases.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
I think too, like for you, you need to be educated on what happens with that wine
Well,
so that
that's
you can
fair.
advise people too. So it's more like you have to know the difference.
Mhm.
But the rest of us could maybe just drink it when we like it the most.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Okay,
Right.
so the ciders say very accessible and good wine to have on hand.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great wine to grab, you know,
It's a very dramatic label too, really.
right?
Mhm. I know it's simple, but it's very dramatic.
Mhm.
with black.
But it's
label and-
excellent wine, you know, to just grab and you can stand behind it and you feel really good about what you're serving. You're gonna be serving way better wine than most people grab. And so anyway.
Yeah. And then
So.
Paul or Linda has a question.
Yeah, this one's me again. Sorry. I have a drinking wine properly question. We've now been spoiled where we have the wine fridge and we'll chill the wine before we open it up and drink it and enjoy the journey. But then, like a month ago or whatever, we went somewhere and we got the room temperature red and I was not impressed with it. So now the question is, if it's now, you know, almost room temperature and we're really enjoying it,
Right.
where am I on, do I just leave it room temperature or should I chill it first? Or am I actually enjoying it better because I chilled it first and that did something to the wine? Or
That's a good question.
No, honestly, you do not have to chill it first, which I've, you know, definitely you do not have to chill it first. I like to do that. I like the experience of starting out from European cellar temperature.
Mhm.
I don't, it's a throwback. It's absolutely not necessary. I mean, your glass is going to end up being at the temperature of your room anyway.
Right.
Yeah, so.
So it's for you, it's like the experience of starting with it like that and going, but I mean, I understand the experience of things with, like, for me, sushi tastes better if I have chopsticks, or cut spaghetti is not the same thing as if you twirl it. Twirling it, there is a definite difference. You cut it and you have ruined it.
This
So I
Irish
understand.
boy cuts all spaghetti.
Mhm. I twirl all of my spaghetti. So,
right.
but anyway, but I understand like that,
There's my
that
hand.
difference of like it
Yeah.
changing.
Yeah, it's not important. It really isn't. It's just a recommendation. Like, throw it in there, put a light chill on it, let it start from there. It's going to evolve. It's not important.
It doesn't do anything to it chemically
No.
to have it.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
No.
All right. And then Dave has a question.
Dave?
So sorry, my question is, where do you get served a room temperature glass of wine? Not that I need you to call someplace out, but that's an odd thing to me that you're not at least served.
We
a cellar
went
temperature.
we went to a place downtown for my mom's birthday, and there were many things that went wrong with the opening of the bottle, but I will say that Paul saved the day, and he took Jeff's advice and he just kind of worked the server could not, the cork started breaking and he was like, I don't know what to do. He literally was like, I don't know what to do. I'm gonna
sure-
take this bottle back.
I'm
And Paul was like, give me the bottle, give me the cork, and I can do this. And I looked at Paul and I said, are you sure? And he's like, I'm good. And so I watched, because I told Paul, I said, I don't want cork in the wine.
Right.
And he was like, I'm good.
Yeah, I'm sure he was a
let me
very
work
good
this.
general studies major, working really hard on that. So, so I helped him out and I took charge. But I mean, it was he just went and grabbed a
It
room
might have
temperature
been a
bottle.
downtown French bistro in downtown Gainesville.
Okay. Starts with Ache? No.
No,
Okay, so not that one.
No.
Let's talk. about
but
We'll talk.
we
about
were a little unimpressed because in years past they had been better.
I didn't get
but-
a journey, Jeff. I got no journey.
No, there was no journey, and Paul was like, I'm gonna order something else.
Right.
And I told him, I said, if you want to order something else, and he's like, I am.
You've made me snooty, sir.
I love that you just were like, hey, I got this.
Yeah.
No, and he didn't. And
What a
the
badass. Like a
server was like,
boss.
"Oh my gosh, you know,
I just
like,
couldn't take it anymore.
You're like, I'm tired of watching you flounder around this bottle.
no,
He
it's-
tried so hard.
He
He like kept
tried.
the label toward us and was like,
Oh, poor guy.
It was super stressful. Like I was stressing, my mom was stressing.
But you're rooting for him because you're very sweet.
No,
But
it was
wasn't
just
we were
uncomfortable.
rooting for the wine. And
Yes, I was rooting for the wine. I personally, you know, and I think Harper was just rooting for her mousse, her chocolate mousse.
right. I think he warmed up the bottle with the whole struggle. I think that's what it was.
So Paul was like, "Give it here," and I looked at Paul and was like,
Right.
He was like, "No, this will be fine." And to Paul's credit, he came through. But yes, it was room temperature. It was different. It was not cellar. I wouldn't say it was room temperature like authentic room temperature, you know, but it was warmer.
It was Florida room temperature.
Oh,
Right.
huh.
Yeah, it was like 80.
So
That might be. a
I
little
still
too-
enjoyed it, but
I
I
don't like
get
no
that
wine
it was
anymore.
different. So you kind of jump on it and you think to yourself, what could have it been like, you
Right.
know, like 20 minutes ago, or properly refrigerated, or
Chilled, something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
Sure.
then Jerry did comment that Australia, Africa, and some South America countries and places in the US can serve room temperature wines, maybe not 80 though.
Right.
Chilling can be a big taste factor, yeah.
Yeah, that's a thing.
Yeah, if they're on, sitting on the back of the stove at 100 degrees and they bring them out, it's kind of a please chill me factor. And
Yeah.
Yeah,
A
right.
little bit of ice can really change the flavor.
Right.
Ice, Jerry, no.
Can I have some ice for my Cabernet
No,
Sauvignon?
no, put them in ice bath.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, we don't put ice in them. Come
Okay.
on.
Chill this wine down.
We've had some terrible tasting wines that I knew were good and they were much better as soon as we stuck them in an ice bath.
oh,
No.
sure.
So it's
Yeah.
these extremely hot places where you really notice the difference.
Well, Jerry's talked
yeah,
about
yeah.
that from when he was in Africa,
Mhm.
particularly, especially Northern Africa, right? When
Well, Ghana, yeah, Ghana and in Egypt too. The Egyptians make what they call wine, but yeah, and they don't refrigerate them.
Okay,
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's an extreme.
you be on a patio, 95-degree wine. Oh, yeah, baby.
no, thank you.
All right.
No,
All right. Let's thank some sources and see what
Okay.
we're drinking next week.
all right.
All right. Thank you very much to Wine Folly. Always amazing resource for everyone to use. 750.com, Wikipedia, wine.com, and Vina Cobos.
This is the shortest list you've had in a while.
I know, right?
Okay, ready?
So, yes. All right. So next week's wine, what shall we do? There's a newness to it. All right. Chateau de Rouen from Vinsobre, Rouge. All right. So this is a Southern Rhone
Mhm.
sub,
Appalachians only
Right,
America, right?
right, right.
Okay.
So it's a subsection, right? So
Mhm.
the most famous within Southern Rhone is Chateauneuf-du-Pape.
Right,
All right. So then you, from Chateauneuf-du-Pape, the next one's arguably back and forth. Everything's arguable in French. Is Gigondas in Vinsobre. Right.
okay.
So
This has been so.
this is Vinsobre. And so we will get to taste, it is a GSM, Grenache, Syrah, Mourvedre.
Okay.
They basically all are,
Mhm.
right, in the Rhone, but they do have a very stylistic difference from place to place. And this is my newest exploration because I look, it's one of those things where I say, oh, Chateauneuf-du-Pape. I love Chateauneuf-du-Pape. And the wine world would say, well, who doesn't like Chateauneuf-du-Pape?
Yeah, you're not going out on a limb.
Right, you're not going on. So then you have Gigondas, right? Gigondas, I love Gigondas. But my new exploration was going deeper and going over to Vinsobre. So we will get to try that next week.
Cool, I'm excited.
Food pairing is ratatouille, lamb stew, veggie black bean enchilada, or smoked ostrich sausages.
Ostrich is good.
Yeah, I really went down the rabbit hole today with food. That last one was the most.
So maybe sometimes
Same
then you should
thing.
just put like things that you can get at Publix,
Yeah, no, that's true. It
right?
would go well with like a nice Italian sausage.
Nice Italian sausage.
Yes, right.
Okay, where you have maybe some spaghetti on the side that you twirl and don't cut.
Yeah, well, you could do that. Yeah, it would go well with kind of a spicy meat Italian dishes.
Okay.
That kind of a thing.
Okay.
So, or even non-spicy, but just nice savory meat Italian
Savory.
dishes and that kind of thing too.
Hunter sauce type things.
Hunter sauces, red sauces, as long as they're a meat sauce or mushroom sauce.
Okay,
Mhm.
okay.
All good stuff.
Yeah.
You saying I'm getting a little too crazy?
I'm just saying, have some things that are just like easy and some things that are maybe out there. So you have like two like more regular reachable Tuesday night things that people could make. And two things that are more reaching things that, Chris and
Smoke.
Robin make.
Smoked kangaroo loin or something?
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
5-bean enchilada is pretty,
Yeah, I thought that was fair enough.
right.
Lamb stew,
Yeah,
ratatouille, I mean, it's all veggies.
but it doesn't have
By the
to be
way,
so exotic all
two-
the time.
2 vegetarians.
No, that's great. Yeah, awesome. Okay,
All right,
so we'll stop the share.
stop the share. Thank you guys very much for joining us tonight. I'm glad you enjoyed the wine. Looked like across the board
Yep.
approval, right?
Yep, cheers, everyone.